So let's wait a little bit. How is Jimena? Just one question. How is my screen? Like, do you see the presentation?
Yeah, I see the presentation. I see you. Everything is looking good.
Cool. All right. So, for everyone, welcome already. We're gonna wait a couple of minutes for everyone to come in. Jimena is my teammate at Digital Nomads Daily, so she will be here the whole presentation. She's my right hand. Very grateful for her. Um, and together we have been working on the masterclass today, which is super exciting, and I really cannot wait to share everything with you all. Now, during this class, I'm going to ask also a couple of questions because one of the things that I really love about these kind of things is not just to send you a recording, but also to interact a little bit. I won't be able to see everything, but Jimena is here. And she is going to see everything. So during the masterclass, if you have any questions, we're going to collect those questions. And then at the end of the masterclass, I will make sure that we can answer them. We will have around like 15 minutes. So hopefully that would be enough time to at least answer all the questions. All right. So people are coming in. That's exciting. So one of the things I would love to hear about as like a first thing is where are you guys located? Like where are you guys talking from? I'm currently in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. One of my bucket list locations to be a digital nomad. I absolutely love it here. It's really hot today, but I am very curious where you guys are based. So if you could type into chat your location, that would be absolutely amazing. And funny enough, Jimena and I are both digital nomads, but she is also in Rio, but on the other side of the city. So where are the people talking from, Jimena?
They are. So, hi guys. There's a lot of people from Prague, California, Canada, San Francisco, Berlin, Georgia,
Wow.
London, Canary Islands, uh, Gujarat. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. From India, Czech Republic, someone from France that's half American, half Mexican, more people from
Amazing.
Canada.
Wow. So we have a very digital nomad vibes from all over the globe. Well, our masterclass is partly called From Anywhere in the World with Confidence. So it really doesn't matter where you are. Everything that we're going to talk about today is focused on being location independent, doing it from the location where you want to be. So that could be from your home, that could be your home country, but that could also be one of your bucket list locations. So for me, that is Rio de Janeiro, and I really, really love it here. So I'm just looking at the time. I want to give the other people a little bit longer to come in and get comfortable. If you're coming in, make sure that your mic is mute just to make sure that there's no like crazy sounds happening. I'm in luck today. No construction here. That's very difficult when you're in a city, and one of the challenges for me as a digital nomad and also a podcaster, because sometimes the neighbors unexpectedly do some construction and some drilling. So for today, we're going to talk about the secret ingredient to build a side hustle from anywhere in the world with confidence. And with confidence is so extremely important because the most challenging part of a side hustle is actually not to start a side hustle, but it's really to do that with confidence and to stick with it. So maybe you're thinking right now, like our little doodle here saying like, "Oh, should I do it? Should I go for it? Is this a great idea?" I'm perhaps by the end of this year, you're going to, or maybe even earlier, you're going to be like, wow, I wish I did this last year or whenever. So this actually happened to me as well. It applies very much to my life. And I know from talking to all the experienced digital nomads on the podcast that a lot of people think this as well. Like in the beginning, it's always a little bit difficult and you will hit some roadblocks. But, once you get to that sweet spot, that feels so good. That feels really good. All right. So I think we're going to start. If more people come in, if you just come in and you see in the chat all the countries, I asked everyone, where are we talking from? So I'm talking from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. It's one of my bucket list locations. It's not the first time I'm here because I lived here 9 months as a digital nomad. I absolutely love it. And I'm kind of lucky because my parents are right now in the other room. I'm from the Netherlands and they're in the other room visiting me. And I guess this is one of the perks as a digital nomad as well, that you can, that you can visit amazing places and that your family members and your friends can actually visit you and see a bit of your lifestyle. So this is something I find really cool about this lifestyle. So if you haven't done it yet, make sure to put in the chat where you're talking from right now. We always love to know that. I already heard that we had people from Canada, Gran Canaria, Prague, like a lot of different places. So that's very exciting. And if you want to get creative, you can also send a flag. All right. So the secret ingredient to build a side hustle from anywhere with confidence, or from anywhere in the world with confidence, that's what we're going to talk about today. And, the dream of many people is to live a location independent lifestyle, to live a digital nomad lifestyle. But I don't know you guys yet. So I don't know what your dream is. I'm very, very curious about that. But for many people who are here, I assume, because that's why you joined this masterclass today, is that we want to do the work that we love. Like, that's important to us. And we want to do that from anywhere in the world, because maybe you want to stay at home. Maybe you want to stay in your country, but perhaps you want to, go across the globe and do it from there. If they have Wi-Fi in the Himalaya and you want to live in the Himalaya, oh my God, that could be your dream. So whatever it is, a lot of people want to do the work they love from anywhere in the world, and with joy and confidence. And joy is not just about having fun and adventures, but it's specifically about your side hustle. Like, are you really enjoying that work and the people that you work with? Because we want to enjoy our freedom lifestyle. And freedom lifestyle is, I love this way of living. It's something that I've been doing for a really long time already. And it's not just about travel. It's about everything in life. So today's mission is to get clarity for you on your project or your side hustle. And I called it side hustle, but I know that there are many entrepreneurs joining us today that already have some sort of business thing going on, whether it's a freelance career or maybe a side hustle. So it could also be a project that you have already worked on. So clarity. I want you to feel confident. So that's also our mission today, is that after all the frameworks that I'm going to show you and what I apply in my day-to-day life, that you feel more confident too. And I want to teach you how to celebrate, because one of the things I love about side hustles and I love about this lifestyle is to celebrate and to be grateful for the way we live and the opportunities that come to us, because we're doing our work with so much love. So that's the mission for today. So if you're ready, let's go. And I'm so nice to meet you. My name is Nienke Nina, and I know that this name is a little bit strange. I get it. If there are any Dutch people here, they might be thinking, "Oh, but Nienke, that's a normal name. But Nienke Nina, that's usually not really the combination." So I'm from the Netherlands, and my real name is Nienke. But I've been living abroad for over 8 years ago. And as you can see here on this slide, I did not speak English 8 years ago. And now I'm here speaking English. So I've been living abroad for a really long time. But one of the things that happened was that I had a hard time saying my name because people didn't know how to pronounce it. So I added Nina to it. And long story short, at one point, it turned into Nienke Nina. So it's kind of like a jingle. So if you want to write me, you can say Nina. That's completely fine. I respond more to Nina than Nienke, actually. Only my dad calls me Nienke if he's really mad. So I've been a digital nomad for 5 years already. So I've been working remotely. I've been living a location independent lifestyle. I've been doing that in 4 continents. You might know me from the Digital Nomads Daily podcast. That's why I have this really nice mic here. And this podcast is about the digital nomad lifestyle. What I do, and my intention with this podcast, is not to show you all the sexy coconut sides of this lifestyle. My intention is purely to make sure that other people feel enabled, empowered, inspired to live this lifestyle. So I do that by interviewing experienced digital nomads. And recently, I also started publishing solo casts to like share a little bit more about my own journey. Now, as my profession, I love side hustles. I have been in digital marketing for about 7 years. And I'm a lot in like strategy and content strategy. And those are also things I super, super love doing. And the things that I'm going to tell you today about the side hustles is also coming a lot from my experience in digital marketing. And I am a cat mom. I love dogs too, but don't tell my cat King Chai. He doesn't like dogs. So that is me in a nutshell. And like I said, I'm a side hustle lover. I think that side hustles have done so many great things for me. So that's why I really wanted to focus this masterclass also on side hustles and projects. So in the next 60 minutes, I'm going to give a quick intro. We're going to talk about the 5-step Freedom Booster side hustle framework. This is something that I use every day in my life and whenever I have a new project. We're creating your Freedom Booster side hustle toolbox. So I'm going to show you what it is and how you can apply that to your projects, which is something very, very exciting. And I'm going to show you 8 success strategies to supercharge your 24 hours. So then I'm going to follow up with the Freedom Booster. And in the end of this, I was going to say episode because I'm always doing podcasts. In the end, we'll have time for questions and answers. So for everyone who just joined now, Jimena is here as well. She's part of my team, and she will be collecting all your questions and answers. So if I don't reply to your answer or to your question right away, please don't get mad, but I cannot see it right now. But Jimena and I are working together here, so I will be able to see it at the end of this presentation, and then we can go in. So make sure just to drop it in the chat, and then we're all good to go. All right. So the podcast. This is one of my most exciting side hustles projects that I started. And one of the things that makes this so exciting is not just the downloads, and this is a pretty good number for a very new podcast, but it did so much more for me. I got connected with really cool people. I actually created a whole new career because of this podcast, and I really expanded my digital nomad network and also talked with people in the remote workspace. So it's not just about entrepreneurship, but it's also talking about what if you want to have a remote job, whether that's full-time or part-time. So the podcast, this side hustle, this is now actually not even a side hustle anymore. This has become a really big part of my life. I'm very grateful for it and I love it. So yes, happy with the downloads. High five to that, but it's a little bit more than that. One of the other things that I really love, and I already said, I really expanded my network, and I also collaborated with people in the space. This is Nini. She is also a digital nomad, and she was on my podcast. And, you know, from that side hustle, from that episode, we started thinking about how can we bring her product, her game that she created to a bigger audience. So I helped her doing that. And this was really cool because at this point, my podcast was not just good for me, but it was also, or the listeners to get inspiration, but it was also really good for my podcast guests or the people that came on my podcast, because they were able to really share what they're about, what their impact is in the digital nomad community. And as a digital nomad podcaster, I became an expert in the digital nomadism, the remote workspace, mostly digital nomad. And what happened is that I got invited to be a speaker at events. And this is a testimonial I got from Erica, and he really liked my podcast. And they reached out to me and they're like, do you want to be, a panelist? Like, do you want to moderate this panel? For me, this is crazy. Like I couldn't even believe it because I love doing that kind of work. So I was able to do the work I love from my own place where I was at the time. I was doing that with people I really genuinely love working with, even though I've never met them. Just because we're like-minded, I knew I was gonna love this, and eventually they were very happy. And I got a really nice testimonial. And the Digital Nomad Expo is a pretty big event. So, what I want you to feel is excited, empowered, inspired, but also supportive, because you're not alone in this journey, and I'm not alone either. I already mentioned here, right? Jimena is here as well. And because we're doing this together and we're working with other people, I feel supported, but other people also feel supported. So you're not alone. You don't have to be all the way down there, but we can do it together and we can reach the top together. So, what I want to show you today is that through clarity, community, and commitment, we can focus on your freedom lifestyle. We can celebrate your milestones. And these are the most important keywords for my success when it comes to projects and side hustles. And I want you to have a taste of this as well, because it's not very complicated. It's not rocket science. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but it's so freaking powerful. Like, it's really crazy how powerful this is. And because of this powerful tool, what I also want to happen for you is that you're not feeling lonely. You're not feeling insecure, so insecure that you feel stuck, and so insecure that you feel demotivated, and that you're not going to do it anymore, that you feel like, okay, I cannot handle this. I will just sacrifice and just do whatever the world wants me to do. And I don't want you to feel unworthy, because I know that you're not. And the other thing I find very important, I don't want you to feel scammed. Like, even here today, I don't want you to feel here to feel like you come on another coaching program and you're like, okay, and you feel scammed. Like, for me, the power is really to give you what I know that helped me achieve my success, especially when it comes to building projects and doing the love I work with the people I love working with from anywhere. So I really want to help you to make sure that we're going to climb that ladder together, step by step. So who is this for then? I already said a little bit, like I mentioned freelancers, I mentioned people in business, but maybe you have many ideas and you're sitting here right now and you're listening to this and watching the screen, and you were like, yeah, but I have many ideas, but I haven't even started. That's okay. You can use this if you have many ideas, but you have no clue how to start or where to start. Because years ago, even when I started Digital Nomads Daily, and I will touch on that a little bit more later, I didn't know where to start either. And now I'm like sometimes helping people who are like, Nina, I don't know where to start, like how to start a podcast. I give them a framework because it's the easiest thing to do, and then they will get their clarity. So if you have many ideas, you don't know where to start, you're still in the right place. So make sure you stay. But also, if you started your side hustle idea, but it's just not really coming from the ground, or if you have a business already and you started a new project inside your business, for example, you wanted to start an affiliate page or build your email list, or you want to start a podcast too. So if you already have your side hustle or your business, but you're just gonna, add an extension to it or create a new path for yourself, make sure to stay. And lastly, if you started and even hit a few milestones, whatever that is, that could be a couple of downloads, that could be a few clients, maybe portfolio clients, but you're stuck and you're falling behind, you need to stay too, because this framework, you can apply it for every single side hustle. So this is not like a one size fit kind of thing. It's highly dynamic and it's highly customizable. So that's really great about this. And that's how I was able to use it or to apply it on different projects. So design our freedom. Sorry, I'm going to take a sip of water. All right. So design our freedom lifestyle. That's the goal. And this is one of the doodles. I also used it in my book. I absolutely love them. I put them all in this presentation. So you're going to keep seeing them. What if you feel like an imposter? Maybe you started your side hustle, but it failed. And now you're scared to try it again. Maybe you feel like you don't really have skills. Or maybe you feel like you lack of experience. Like all of that can happen. But just because that's the case, you're not an imposter. Absolutely not. There's so many reasons why something doesn't work out. But I know that you can do this because I could do it, so you can do it too. It's very, very important. So keep this in mind. You can do this too. So how does freedom really looks and feels like? Everyone can impact the world in their own unique way. So how freedom looks and feels like to you is very different from how it feels like to me. And what I love about the lifestyle, the digital nomad lifestyle, the freedom lifestyle, is that we inspire each other as well. We give each other tips. We showcase like how we live our life, and you get like a lot of inspiration from this. But you will stay true to yourself. So how you impact this world is your unique way. It's not the same. And this principle is very important for your side hustle as well, and for the frameworks I'm going to share with you today, because it's your unique way. It's going to be your side hustle. I'm not going to give you a 5-step plan. Here's how you start a podcast. There's enough information about that. I'm really going to give you frameworks that you can apply to all of your side hustles. For everyone who is staying on the end of this presentation, so all the way to the questions and answers, I'm going to give you a free gift. So if you stay, you're going to get my 5-step freedom booster side hustle guide. And this is the simplest guide that I use for every single side hustle opportunity. So that means opportunity is very important here, because that means that I sometimes also say, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to park this idea because it doesn't line up with my ideas or with my bigger picture. So if you stay until the end, you're going to get this free gift. And I'm really excited also to share this with you, because it has helped me so much. So the quick introduction, I already said a bunch of things, but I'm a podcast host at Digital Nomads Daily. I'm actually just realizing that I'm wearing exactly the same thing on this picture here. But it's one of my favorite things. I really like it. So I feel good when I wear it. So I'm a podcast host at Digital Nomads Daily. I interview people, but I also do solo cast. I'm also the author of a book called Digital Nomads with Confidence. And this book answers 101 typical daily questions digital nomads have in their day-to-day digital nomad lifestyle. So this talks about how to find community, how to make money online, how to manage your finances, dating, love, like all these different things. So just a very day-to-day things. And I love that I wrote that book. Now, I'm also a speaker and a community builder. So I already said I hop on events a lot as panelists, but also more like speaking opportunities. And I really love doing that, because it's such a nice feeling to empower people and to enable people with my 5 years of digital nomad experiences. And it was not all coconuts and nice. There's a lot of stuff has happened, but hey, you live and learn, right? Now, I'm also a digital nomad expert and consultant. So what I do, and this is also one of these things that happen because of the podcast, and why it's really cool to start your side hustle, is I I got a new sort of gig or job as a digital nomad expert and consultant. So I help companies that are creating products and services for digital nomads and the travel folks and remote workers. I consult for them. So, for example, there's this company that is sort of recreating Airbnb for digital nomads. I consult with them and I help. I do like, yeah, like I hop on calls with them to talk about the features and what's important and all these things. It's honestly, it's a dream job. And a year ago, I did not know that that was going to happen. And on the side, like I said, I already have, I have marketing experience and I'm a content marketing and funnel expert. So I help my clients building their content strategies and help them with their funnels, which is super exciting as well, because I work only with people I like working with. So yay for me, but you can get that too. So I already said what is your unique way to create impact on this planet, to create impact on this in this world. And for me, it's really empower people and companies. And that means that I want to empower you to live a freedom lifestyle, whatever that looks like. Like, I don't even care how it looks like. It's not important to me. What's important to me is that you live it by your values and what matters to you. And I also help companies because companies are really important also for us. So what we want is chill on the beach with our laptop and not feeling so overwhelmed. Like, when you start your side hustle, you often feel very overwhelmed, but I don't want that for you. And not to say that you will never ever feel overwhelmed, but I want you to feel relaxed and, sit on the beach or on a mountain, wherever it is, with your coconut on your laptop and just do your thing. Just do the thing that makes you truly happy. So the question is, can you only work with the people you enjoy working at? Absolutely. Can you design your own life? Yes. Can you make your own decisions? Oh, absolutely. Can you do the work that you absolutely love? Well, I already showed that you can. And can you live your dream freedom lifestyle? You can do that too. I know that online, sometimes it looks like, whoa, like this person has everything. It's not for me. This is crazy. But you can do this too. You just need to have the right information, the right tools, and the right community so you can actually commit to this. So I hope that this inspires you to stay here and to continue to listen to how you can build that side hustle that's actually going to boost your freedom lifestyle. Here's the journey, right? So sometimes when you start a project, you look at this and it's bad, it's kind of impossible, and that really sucks, but it doesn't have to be this way. So in your life, you can take different steps and then slowly you will build your side hustle. But I'm not a Power Ranger, I'm not a superhuman. I don't have any like magic or sprinkled stuff on my work. Everything that I did has been trial and error. It's been 5 years of digital nomad experience. It's been 7 years of digital marketing experience. And it's been all those years combined to really figure out what I want to do and why I want to do that and how can I do more of that. So I am not special, and you can do this too. That's basically really what I want you to know. So, are you ready to step in my digital nomad side hustle world? I hope you are. So let's dive in. Side hustles can sometimes feel a little bit like this, right? You're just banging your head in the wall or on a pillow. I thought a wall was a little bit too intense for the picture, so let's do a pillow. And it can really feel like this. It's not always nice. It's frustrating, and life gets just thrown at you. But side hustles are real. And if you feel like side hustles aren't real, at least not in my world, let's look into that a little bit. Because maybe sometimes in the beginning it's very uncomfortable and it's way too hard, and you're actually thinking about, okay, I might just gonna quit. But then when you go through the whole thing, you feel like, I got this. Like, what was I thinking? And I'm curious if you guys ever felt like that with a project or even with a task. Could be even like booking a flight or something. Like sometimes it's so much bigger in your head. And then when you know, walk through the steps one by one, then you have done it. You can actually do it. And then you look back and then you're like, okay, like, yeah, I got this. This is a nice feeling. So maybe your first try is gonna fail, or not even fail. It's just not gonna work out. And you thought it would work out, like that can happen. And your second and your third and your fourth, like that happened to me as well. But there's gonna be a point where you're gonna feel like, hey, this is the one. The methodologies that I'm gonna share with you today are gonna fast track that process a little bit. Again, it's not magic, but it's just to make sure that you're going to focus on things that matter to you. And that really starts with looking inside and be like, okay, but what then does really matter to you? So maybe then you will still fail one or two times, but at least it will be a little bit less. All right. So then your side hustle doesn't have to feel like this. That's basically what I want for you. So I want to tell you a personal story. And I think it's very important also for you guys that I'm vulnerable because, like I said, I'm not a superhuman and I'm definitely not perfect. So I'm Digital Nomads Daily 2018 versus, well, last year, basically. And that is that those are two different worlds, basically. So in 2018, I started Digital Nomads Daily, and actually, this is a picture of then. And yeah, my hair is a bit shorter, and my face is a little bit younger. But I started Digital Nomads Daily thinking about, okay, I'm gonna write a couple of blog posts because I want to learn about this lifestyle, and I was new to it too, and there was not so much information out there as there is right now. So I was asking people, I went to co-working spaces and I was asking people like, hey, how do you make money? Like, how do you do this? And then at one point I figured maybe I should like record this because it might be helpful for other people too. At the time, I had a remote job, but it didn't really work out. Like it was kind of a weird situation. So at one point I did not have that job anymore. I also didn't have a ton of savings because I was living abroad and basically using all my money, but literally all my money to travel. So I didn't go in with like a ton of savings, and I definitely didn't scroll on Instagram being like, okay, I'm going to become a digital nomad. It all just happened to me. So I started asking a lot of questions and I recorded it. I was editing on my own. Then I was adding it to the website. I had to design a website and I had to share it on social media. Then I was doing community events and blah, blah, blah. This was super overwhelming. And I was doing everything at the same time and I was just doing it. And that was already one of those things like, okay, what am I actually doing? I'm just going to do it all because I like doing it. And I always say that passion is just not enough to kickstart a successful business project or side hustle. You really need a lot more than just passion. So what's the difference in 2022? Well, to be 100% honest with you, I stopped Digital Nomads Daily. It didn't exist for a while, for a really long while. But in 2022, what happened is that I lost my personal Instagram account. And to be honest, I didn't have a lot of followers there, but I was so upset. Like I had like a pit in my stomach because I lost all my contacts, my travel contacts, my digital nomad contacts. And I realized because I said I stopped Digital Nomads Daily, the Instagram was still active. So I hopped on Instagram. I saw that the account was still active. And I was like, okay, I can find the people here. So I started messaging people like, hey, sorry, my Instagram is gone, but this and that. And I started to reconnect with some of the digital nomads I hadn't talked within a while. And then I don't know, I just felt so recharged and empowered and connected. And in one of the morning walks at the beach, and I love going for morning walks, I realized that should I give D&D another try? Like, is that a thing? Because all these years later, I had a full-time job. I got back on track financially at a full-time job. Like, I was good, and I was ready for another project. I have a lot of energy and a lot of creativity. So I was like, okay, let's do something else. And also around this time, this is when Jimena and I met, and I was just like thinking and twinkling about this project. And then at one point, I started chatting with Jimena about it, and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do this, I'm not gonna do it alone. That's just the one condition I have. And a second condition is I want to have a strategy and I want to have a plan in place. And I only got this idea to have a strategy in place because of my work as a digital marketer. So I'm very grateful for the normal jobs that I had, because I was not just thinking about this is nice. I was thinking about how can I do this in a way that it's actually going to boost my freedom. So I want to introduce you to the 5-step freedom booster side hustle framework I use for every single project. And I already said it. Sometimes I say no to a project because if it doesn't make sense, I'm not spending my time, energy, perhaps even money on it. So the 5 steps are the first step of these 5 steps are genuine motivation. Yes, you don't just need passion, but you do need passion. So passion is very important, and that comes in your genuine motivation. I am a people person. I love being surrounded by people, and back then I was doing a lot of community events. I was hosting talks. I was like bringing people together, private dinners, all sorts of stuff. And this is in dojo and in the co-working space in Bali, where I was hanging out with my nomad friends and I was giving a talk, and it was really nice. And that was the vibe I wanted in the redesigned Digital Nomads Daily. I wanted to be with other people, and I wanted to give valuable content to the world. No, like digital nomad, sexy coconut bullshit. Like, I wanted to be real. I'm The second thing was the big picture. Like, honestly, the strategy was super important, but it was not like, oh, how am I going to get more podcast downloads, or even like I was thinking about what is really, really that big picture. Like, where do I want Digital Nomads Daily to be? And that is super important, because if you have your end goal more or less in mind, the steps that you need to take to get there are becoming way more clearer. So the big picture is not about your downloads or getting just paid. It's really about that bigger impact. And for me, that big picture looks like working with an international team, creating a business that is purposeful, that enables people, that empowers people. And it's also a business that has multiple income streams and multiple projects within the business. So the podcast is one part of it, the book is a part of it, and then there's a bunch of other stuff. So that is more or less my bigger picture. Very important, lifestyle fit. And I don't think a lot of people honestly think about this when they do a project. But is this project or side hustle going to fit in your lifestyle? Like, is this really going to work out? And it's very important, because you might want to do things that just really don't fit your lifestyle fit right now or in the future, and then it's going to be a problem. So think about this. Here's an example. So you have seen all these cute doodles, right? And this is a mock-up that I created in Canva. I love Canva for this. So these people are not actually wearing my shirt, okay? This is a mock-up. I have this forever dream to start a t-shirt line with my cute doodles. And these are my doodles, because these are the doodles we designed for my book, Digital Nomads with Confidence. So I wanted to do this project. And I was like thinking about this back in 2018, but I didn't know how to do that. And even now, like last year, I was like, maybe we can do that in the future. But I haven't pushed that idea or that product, simply because it doesn't fit my lifestyle. Like, how am I going to do that? I live out of a suitcase. I have one medium suitcase, one small suitcase, digital nomad cat King Chai, and 2 surfboards that I share with my boyfriend. Like, I cannot carry all these t-shirts. So that was a bit of a problem. And so I was really thinking about, like, how can I do this? So the conclusion was I cannot start a t-shirt line. So this looks super cute. Maybe one day in my life I will do it, but not right now, and that's okay. So sometimes you got to say no to the ideas or the projects that you have, and you can park them somewhere else. Then your success image. So your success image is not just about money. Your success image really talks about, if you visualize, how does success look and feels like what is that? What is the feeling that you get? What is the body sensation? What is the mental sensation? And like really visualize that. So it's not about, I want to get downloads, I want to get money, I want like all those sort of, like very practical things. It's about your whole success image. So for me, it was important that we found a voice at Digital Nomads Daily, that our brand became bigger, like those kinds of things, and that eventually I would be able to hop on as a speaker. I did not have in my success image that I would be like a digital nomad consultant. I didn't even know that that would exist, but hey, I am now, and that's great. So also to say, so far, like these things, they can change as well, and this 4 steps that you see right now, they will be different for every single side hustle or project that you are building. An example of a different success image, similar project, is a podcast. So, there's me, right? And then there's Kenneth. Kenneth, I interviewed him for the Digital Nomads Daily podcast. He is a remote work advocate from Norway, and he is a career switcher. He started the podcast, but for very different reasons than I started the podcast. His success image was to land a job as head of remote in a company. So even though we both have a mic and we started our podcast, the success image of each other's project was very, very different. So if you start a podcast, if you feel like, yeah, I'm going to start a podcast, congratulations, it's great. But think about your success image. It might look very different. So that's interesting to think about. And then your toolbox. And this is something I really, really love. Also, highly dynamic. So when you look at this house, there are a couple of things that you need to build this house, right? It's not just like you buy the house, you put it on a land, and that's it. You need tools to actually create this house. And that is different also for every single project. So before you start, these 5 steps are all things that are happening in your mind that you will take note of before you start your project. And like I said, you're going to get this if you stay on the end as a free gift. Like we have a workbook for this, so you can like start playing with this, with these 5 steps, and visualize for yourself, how does that look and feel. And it's digital, so you can reuse it for every single side hustle or for every single project that you are working on. So just to give you a little bit of an idea, because you might think, okay, wait, what toolbox? What is she talking about? I'm going to show you how this would work for a podcast. So for a podcast, you would need an internet connection. Well, all digital nomads need one. You need a podcast mic. That's highly recommendable. You need editing software. You maybe need a website. You need podcast hosting. Lol, I didn't even know that that existed. I had no clue how a podcast, like where that would be published and how that comes on Spotify. Like I didn't know. So I needed to research this. And I knew that in advance I had this question. Also, you need some recording software. Maybe you need a webcam. Like there's all these things, all these tools that you need in order to publish an episode and to actually have a podcast. So that's what your toolbox is about. And you can apply this for every single side hustle or project. All right. So my question for you is, with your side hustle that you have in mind, or the project that you're working on, or where the project that you're stuck at, do you really, really want to start or restart this project? And how will it come to life? And how will it feel? And I know this sounds a little bit like woohoo, but it's true. Like if you do this, you're going to be so much more intentional about your side hustle. And this will really, really help you to succeed. So this is a framework I use for all my side hustles. Now, if you have questions about this, like I said, type them in the chat. Jimena is moderating, so she will see everything. But this is not all. This is not everything that I have in store for you today. I'm going to show you two more frameworks to help you boost your project and boost your side hustle. So I'm going to continue. I'm just going to get a little bit of water. It's important to stay hydrated always. All right. So maybe you're thinking, yeah, Nina, I see others doing it, but I don't think I can do this. I don't have the right skills. I don't have experience. I feel maybe a little bit insecure about this. I get it. This happens to a lot of people, and you might, you don't know where to start, or you just feel very insecure. And before, I wanted to show you that you can start a side hustle. Like, side hustles are great ideas. Like I already said then, like, it changed my career completely, and my whole success image. I love it. But maybe you feel very insecure about starting a project or a side hustle. I mean, that happens. And maybe you're thinking, okay, I did it before, but it failed. So I don't think side hustles are really for me then. Like, I don't think it's my thing. I just don't feel good about it. Let me tell you this, it is not your fault. Like, it's really not. One of the most important things when you start a project is that you really need to have a good setup, to set yourself up for success, basically. So sometimes projects don't hit off, or sometimes projects are overwhelming because of the information overload. Like, this is a real thing. It's not a joke, and it's just getting worse, and worse. So this is a quick Google search that I did this morning. How can I make my podcast successful? Do you see how many searches there are? 150 million in only 42 seconds. Or like, this is, or not even 42 seconds, like less than half a second. This is crazy. So how, like, the information overwhelm is like, how are you even going to get to your information? Like, this is kind of crazy, and I'm sure that you have more questions. The other thing that I really see is that everyone seems to be an expert, and it's kind of this thing, like, now we're experts. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're new to an industry or to a certain project or skill, like, that's very difficult because you don't really know who is trustworthy, where can you learn in the best way possible, is this worth your money, like, all these different things. I understand that you have those questions. I have that too. Like, when I started researching stuff for Digital Nomads Daily, I was also okay, like, where I'm going to find all this information. Took a lot of time, but we managed. And here's just a quick example. If you would just go on Google and ask, like, okay, how can I create a successful newsletter? You get all of these. There are 15 tips. There are 7, then there are 5. Then you need to do this and that. And sometimes these things don't really speak about the same things. Like, there are different strategies. It depends what your newsletter is about, maybe the industry and so on. So I can keep going like this forever. I don't want to overwhelm you, but just to get the picture, there's a lot of information out there, and every web page or person seems to be an expert. Now, the other thing is kind of the pressure to be online everywhere. And this is one of the sort of pitfalls of Digital Nomads Daily in the beginning. I thought I had to be online everywhere, and it truly burned me out. And why is that? That is because of people like this. That is because of the Gary V's and the Jenna Kutchers and all of these people, and not because they say you need to do that. Although Gary actually does say that, like, you put your content everywhere. I saw a couple of clips from him, but it seems just like that's what you need to do because all your role models are doing that too. And what I learned on the podcast by talking to the entrepreneurs, to the digital nomad entrepreneurs, that many successful digital nomad entrepreneurs who joined my podcast, they say, no, I just use like 1 or 2 marketing strategies. Like, I don't have time to be everywhere because I also need to actually deliver the work. I need to like do sales things. There's a lot to do when you do a project. So you can't be everywhere online. And I know that you might feel that pressure, but let me tell you, there's no need to feel pressured. And then there is this gigantic need to have big results really, really fast. And this is something that has been, now there's a little bit of a wave where this is getting less, but we all know this wave of, well, this 10K months, one bucks a day, like all this kind of stuff. And also, if you look very well in the third video, it would claim this is like almost like financial advice, but just to make this legal, they will have to say, "Oh, this I'm not a financial advisor." But if you get thrown all these videos in your face on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, email, like everywhere in all the places, of course you're going to think, oh God, I need to do that too. And, like that's very difficult. So what I want to tell you is that, yes, you're going to probably need to get some results, and that is super important, but you don't need to hit so many insane results very fast. And if you ever see this content, keep in mind that these people had a whole journey before that video. They had a whole journey before that process. They planted seeds. They worked on things. They're working with teams. These are not just solopreneurs. So keep that in mind. And they might hit those goals. I don't know that, but know that there was a process. So the question is, how can you set yourself up for success and do the work you love from anywhere in the world with joy and confidence so you can truly enjoy your freedom lifestyle, right? Because that's what we're here for today, to learn that. So you now know the process before you're going to start your side hustle. I want to introduce you to the Freedom Booster Side Hustle Toolbox. And you might think, hey, but you just mentioned a toolbox. That's true. I did, because that was just to show you that every project has a toolbox. Now I want to show you the more comprehensive version of a Freedom Booster Side Hustle Toolbox, because there are a couple of things in that toolbox that are repeating for every single side hustle, for every single project. So let's go back to that sexy beach house that we saw before, and let's have a look at this boat. Now, if we think about how are we going to create this, to build this house, you need a certain environment. You need certain tools like the material. You need materials. There's a bunch of stuff that you need. You maybe need specific people to do electricity, water, like those kinds of things. So you need a good environment. You need to have good weather conditions. But the same goes for that boat. You also need those things, but how that looks and feels like is going to be very different, because someone that is great at building houses is not great at building boats. And someone that is specialized in house windows, I'm saying something so random right now, but house windows is not specialized in the window for a boat. So there are repetitive things, but just how you're going to fill it in, that is what's going to look different. So when I started Digital Nomads Daily with the podcast, my toolbox looked very different from my book, Digital Nomads with Confidence. And when I consult for companies, my toolbox looks very different too. And the same goes for when I am working on the marketing with my clients. So for every single project, I have a different toolbox. And this allows me to not get overwhelmed, to have the right resources for every single project. And just to be aware of this really helps me to succeed. So that is super important. So what is then inside this toolbox? I don't really have time to explain every single thing in this presentation right now. So I'm just going to give you the quick glance of this toolbox. So you will have a roadmap. You will have required skills. So for a podcast, you need to edit that podcast. So you need editing skills. And if you think about, but I don't want to edit it, then you need someone else that is going to edit it. But either way, you need editing skills. You need a tech stack, and there might be a required investment. Sometimes when you start a website business, you need a hosting, or a podcast, you also need to pay for that. It's not about thousands of dollars that you need, or euros. It's just about the very minimum required investment to get yourself started. The same goes with the time investment. And there's also your environment and your community. Maybe there are people that you need in order to get this thing from the ground. Maybe you need some accountability, because just saying that you're going to do it might not be enough. That was the case for me. I really need to work with other people to get my stuff done. And I find my accountability through working so closely with Jimena, but also through my guests and through like the events that I'm doing. You also want to, track your progress. So have a system for that. Maybe shared knowledge, and celebrations are also part of your toolbox, because you want to celebrate all your wins. Small, big, doesn't matter. Whether it's 10 downloads, 100 downloads, 5K downloads, or 10K downloads, we celebrated them all. And what's really cool is that on Buzzsprout, the platform we're using, they have this achievement thing. And I know that on Canva, they have it as well. Some of these more advanced tools, they really make it nice for you to celebrate stuff. So I always like share this in our winning board, like, hey, we had another achievement. And I'm actually quite sad, because after the 10K, there are not more achievements, but I'm not done achieving. So this is a really nice and easy way to already get some familiarity with how you can set up your achievements. So how does your toolbox look like for your side hustle? That's the question that I have for you. And if you have multiple projects, you're going to have also different toolboxes. So when you start your side hustle, before, you want to think about this already. Some of the things you have in your wheelhouse, like skills or knowledge or money, but some things you don't. If you don't have all the tools, that doesn't mean that you cannot start like that. You can still start, but it's just, again, the awareness of what is it that you really need to start your side hustle, so you can set yourself up for success. So when you think, I see others doing it, but I don't think I can do this. I don't have the right experience or the skills. Your toolbox is there to set you up for success, and then you can celebrate. So don't get overwhelmed. Like, don't get insecure about it. Just follow the steps, step by step, and then you will get there. So if you have any questions so far, again, I would love to see them in the chat. Jimena is here to put all the questions in there. And maybe, I don't know if there are questions yet. Maybe you're going to be the first one. But don't worry to ask about questions, because it's really important that you feel confident to ask questions. Like, there's no weird question. There's no dumb question. A question is a question, and I embrace all of them. Don't ask how much there's in my account, though. All right. So maybe you have skills, maybe you feel pretty confident. That's not really your problem. And this is something that people also feel like maybe you just don't have time. And sometimes I talk, like, after the podcast recording with my guests about like time management, and it's a very important topic also on the podcast. But people are always like, Nina, how do you do it? Like, how did you write a book in such a short amount of time? How are you podcasting so much? Like, how do you do your marketing clients? Like, how do you do everything at the same time? And I have a system for that. So in the next couple of slides, I'm going to show you the system that I'm using for those of you who are struggling with time management, and that your project is basically catching Dutch because you don't feel like you have time. Now, surprise. We all have 24 hours in one day. Like, that's it. It's not going to be more. It's not going to be less. So we're all the same. We're all in the same boat. These are some of the people I interviewed on the Digital Nomads Daily podcast. And these are very busy people. These were like my dream sort of podcast guests. And I have a whole list of other people. Actually, in a couple of weeks from now, we're going to have someone from Airbnb on my podcast, which is crazy. But these people also have 24 hours. So I was thinking about this for my own lifestyle, and also like just like reflecting on how all these people doing it. So I created this framework last year for myself to not get overwhelmed whenever I start a project. So let me just be very clear. I cannot create more time, and I'm not going to claim that. So that's it. And I'm also not going to tell you to work a shit ton of hours. What I'm going to show you is how you can reinvent your time. So, if you're ready for 8 success strategies to supercharge your 24 hours, let's dive into it. One little disclaimer, this is going to be different for everyone. So these are just success strategies that I use, and it won't happen overnight. So I really want to ask yourself, if you're going to start with this process, be gentle and be kind to yourself. Like, truly nothing happens overnight. So, just really keep that in mind. All right. So the first step in supercharging your time is to analyze how you're currently actually spend your time. And this might sound a little bit silly, but if you would have like a helicopter view of your calendar, there are certain patterns that you have. You would look at when you're going to work, when you're going, I don't know, to the gym or for your morning walk, when you spend time with your spouse or with your cat. Like, there's like all these different things that you do, and a lot of these things are repetitive. So for me, that is hanging out with my boyfriend, working from anywhere. This is actually a super, super digital nomad hack. A lot of people don't notice, but I connect my keyboard to my phone and I go with my keyboard to the beach or to whatever. And then I'm going to work from there to write the show notes. I love working this way. Or I want to hang out with my cat in the grass. This is super functional because then I can get a tan and he can hang out with me. And, I also like to do other stuff like horse riding. I don't do that so regularly, but I like to go out. But at the same time, I'm a multi-passionate entrepreneur working really hard, published a book last year. I like to work from different places. And also one of my impact that I didn't share that is that I really care about the planet and how we take care of the planet. So during my breaks or morning walks, I collect plastic. So these are like things on how I spend my time. So so how is this 24 hours in a day, or how is that 7 days in a week? So what I want you to do is not just to look at what are all the things that you do in your calendar, and it helps to track it just like a normal week, but also understand your energy levels and your flow states, because there are certain tasks that you can better do in the morning than in the afternoon. So for example, I have a really hard time working in the afternoon. I can do this in the afternoon. I can hop on a podcast recording. I can do that even midnight. But like writing stuff, I need to do it in the early morning. So my flow, like my best energy, is in the morning. And if you think about, okay, but what is flow? I'm not going to try even to pronounce the author's name, because that is like very impossible. But a flow is basically a stage in which people are so involved in an activity that nothing else seems to matter, like nothing else. And it is from the book Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience. The book is already a couple of years old, but it's a really good book that explains you these different flow states. I won't go too deep into it, but just think about when you do work. When is the best time for you to write, to create, to hop on calls, to do like those kinds of things? Now, the third step of supercharging your time is all about to find the opportunities in your calendar. And when I say find opportunities in your calendar, what's very important is that you not switch around your whole calendar and make it impossible, but just to see gaps, because everyone has gaps in their calendar. And those gaps are really, really great to start working on your side hustle or your project. But it's all about habits, 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 habits. So you see here that both of these things are very consistent. But if you would do the full thing, then that means that everything else that you're going to do is not going to happen or sacrifice. And I don't think that that is very smart. So what I would like you to invite you to think about when it comes to your side hustle is find those opportunities, but don't find just the big opportunities, the full days. Maybe there is a quick hour here or a quick 30 minutes there. And then you can really, start designing your new lifestyle. And sometimes this is also going to take a little bit trial and error. Same goes for, do you need to wake up 5 hours earlier every single day to work on your side hustle? Absolutely not. But hey, if you could wake up at least an hour earlier to work on it, that would be great, but only if you're a morning person. If your flow state is in the evening, you might want to have that hour later on after work, or like in the evening. So this depends. For me, this would be in the morning, but for you, it could be completely different. Now, of course, you need to take action and actually do the work that you need to do. Very important. Um, but when you think about your work, a strategy that I use is whenever I create, for example, when I started the podcast, before I started, I was thinking, what if I need to create, oh, what if I need to create 100 episodes? What if I need to create 100 blog posts or 100, whatever it is? And why I want you to think about it this way is two reasons. If you start thinking about this more in bulk, in like repetitive things, you're going to also, you can take the next step and think about using a work management system. They're very like free tools that you can use. You can use Notion, Asana, ClickUp, not sponsored, just, like tools. They have free subscription. And maybe you're like, yeah, but I don't need that right now, but you want that. I'm going to show you exactly why. Now, the second thing is everything that is repetitive, turn it into a process ASAP. Jimena might be laughing right now because I'm a huge workflow nerd, and everything that I do, I'm always thinking about what is the process? What is the workflow? Let's create a workflow first. So that's always the first thing I do. But I do that because it helps me to see what the full process is and what the investment is to get this thing out there. So to get a podcast out there. So why you want to do this? Well, you can work faster. You can track your progress. Clients really, really love this stuff. So you will look way more professional. And it's easier to outsource tasks, and it's easier to automate things. So maybe you don't need to always send an email to a person, because if someone fills out a form, the email will be automatically sent it. Like there are small automations that you can already think about in your side hustle, and you can use Zapier for that. Again, not sponsored, just really, really, I just want to marry that tool. And they also have a free plan. So that's a really great thing to start with. You also want to reinvent your time and outsource the work you cannot do. And you can only outsource if you have a work management system and if you have processes. Like it's really hard and time consuming to let other people do your work if you don't have that stuff in place. And outsourcing is great. Like I'm not saying that you need to hire a €1 guy in India. I don't really believe in that. I know that Tim Ferriss wrote about it 8 years ago in terms of you can outsource all your work and work less for yourself. But I think that the world has changed, so we're not in that vibe anymore. But yeah, it's great to outsource stuff, and I do it too with my work. So outsource when? Well, maybe when you don't have time, when you don't have the skills, when you don't have the energy. Maybe you just don't have the passion. Like if you need to create stuff in Canva, but you hate Canva, that might be something that you want to outsource. And maybe you're just lacking excitement for that specific task. Like those kinds of things are enough reasons to outsource stuff. You don't have to do everything on your own. Do you think that Gary Vee is doing everything on his own? Absolutely not. That guy has a big team. So this is a really great step. My disclaimer was about that the world has been changing, and I already said this. So just again, like outsourcing is not about paying people for very little. Outsourcing is just letting other people do the work that you cannot or don't want to do, and that's it. All right. So, like I said, what can other people do for you then? Well, for example, in the podcast management, podcast editing, social media, and so on. So this is just a quick example. And then track how much you have done. This is also important because if you get overwhelmed, if you're doing a lot of stuff, you might feel like you're not actually doing enough. And that is a shitty feeling. You don't want that feeling. You want to feel empowered, and you want to know that you worked really hard that day, that week, that morning. So track what you do. And it's easier if you have a work management system in place where you can have a repetitive task and just be like, okay, I write 3 bullet points every single day after my work session. So track your work, track your progress, And celebrate every single small and big milestone. Super important. I really cannot stress this enough. Celebrations are just so good, but if you're alone, celebrations can feel a little bit lonely. So find people that you can celebrate with. I do this all the time, and it just really cheers me up. I get so much more excited about my work. So these were the 8 success strategies to superpower your 24 hours. And I think that some of these things are very easy to implement, and others you might want to sit with yourself and think about it. So again, I would like to know if you guys have any questions that I can talk about later on. So I'm just gonna go to the next part, and one more time, side hustles aren't a real thing. It's not for me. No, side hustles are a real thing. And if you use the 5 step Freedom Booster side hustle framework, you will figure out what side hustle is good for you. When you see others doing it and you feel like you cannot do it for whatever reason, or you feel like you just lack the skills and experience, use the Create Your Toolbox to set yourself up for success framework that I just showed you. It honestly, it helped me so much doing things that I didn't know how to write a book. I mean, I'd never written a book. And now there is a book. Like, the toolbox helped me to get there. And the same goes for the podcast. And if you don't have time, or your projects are getting dusty because priorities are, getting in the way, life is just happening to you, use the 8 success strategies to superpower your 24 hours. So I have a question for you. And actually, I would love to hear this in the chat. If you could do the work you love and live your ultimate freedom lifestyle, like, how would that look like right now? Like, if you really envision this, like, how would that life look like? Let that sink in for a second. Like, I'm really curious about that. And I also hope that you feel like, okay, yeah, I can do this. Like, yeah. All right. So now that you have let that sink in, like, how are you feeling? Whenever I say these things, like whenever I share this with my clients or people, I'm always like, wow, I even feel more empowered. I'm like, yeah, I can do this. I have a couple of other projects in mind, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to use my own frameworks to do it. I feel empowered. And I truly hope that you feel empowered too, in some shape or form. So the next steps, because you might think, okay, I have all this information, I'm ready. Or maybe you think, I have all this information, I think I'm ready. What could be the next steps? Like, what is out there for you? I would like to spend the next couple of minutes on something I call the Digital Nomad Freedom Booster. And this is a community project that I have been working on for a really long time. I put my whole soul in it, but also I use my frameworks to actually set this up. And like I said, if you stay all the way until the end of this presentation, you're going to get the free gift. So make sure to stay in. But I just want to spend a couple of slides on this, and then we're going to the questions and answers. So the Digital Nomad Freedom Booster. I don't want you to just walk away with this and think like, okay, I'm going to do this, because maybe you do feel lonely. Maybe you are getting stuck. Maybe you don't know what the next step is. Maybe, maybe you lack of confidence because of whatever. Like, all of these things can happen. So I have already shown you everything that's possible with my methods, but the time is kind of done, almost. So I can't show you really like more on like the deeper in like the how-tos and the other stuff that's around it. So what we can do is walk this path together. So it's not just like a fuzzy framework. Well, it's not fuzzy. It's not just a framework, but you can actually implement this. You can implement this in your day-to-day life. So you can not just think about your side hustle, but actually boost it and actually boost that freedom lifestyle, whatever that lifestyle looks like. Maybe you want to travel the world like me, or maybe you just want to live abroad because you've always dreamt of, I don't know, living in Spain or in the US. Like, it doesn't matter, whatever it looks like for you. So we can implement these tactics together. And you're not alone, because there are a lot of people who want the same thing like you. People want to narrow down their ideas and get a clear roadmap. And you want to avoid overwhelm. A lot of people want to avoid overwhelm because overwhelm sucks. You want to dedicate hours to really work on it. And so your project is not going to catch dust, and you can really, really, really do this. And finding time, like I said, sometimes it's challenging. And maybe you want to be part of a group that is always cheering for you. That is, those are like-minded people, and they're so extremely excited to help you, and you're probably excited to help them too, because I'm sure that you have great ideas. And maybe you want to receive feedback on the things that you're doing. So the next steps that you're going to take are smarter steps, are more effective steps, and are actually steps that are going to boost your side hustle even stronger. And of course, because I said it, I cannot stress enough. You want to celebrate your wins with people that understand everything that you're going through. Like, that's so extremely important. I want that. I always want that. So, the Freedom Booster is a place where we're going to work together for 4 weeks. So it's going to be not just a freedom booster, it's going to be a super booster. Like, in the 4 weeks' time, we will make sure that you're going to walk through all the frameworks we talked about, and we're going to really boost your project. So if you have a new project, you can join this, because we will all be there working on our projects. If you already have an existing project that is catching dust at this very moment, take it to the freedom booster, because you can work on it. So wherever you are in that journey, like, as long as you have the big picture in your head and you have more or less an idea of what kind of side hustle you want to do, let's boost that side hustle and let's help you to actually get stuff done. Because an idea is just an idea. We always need action. And sometimes life gets in the way and you don't take action. And then your freedom lifestyle is not happening, and that sucks. So that's why I put this 4-week program together, because I thought I can give you a course. I can give you like all these videos, but that's not where the magic happens. The magic truly happens in the community, doing it together, hopping on calls, having feedback moments, making sure that we celebrate together. But yeah, there is a but. I'm so sorry. I have only 20 spots for the Freedom Booster. And that is just because if we're going to be with 100 people, these calls are going to be really long, and we won't be able to get much work done. And I mean, I have to be generous with my time, but also gentle with my time. So, because I will be there live in all the sessions, and I just cannot host 100 people. If I could, and if that would be the most effective strategy, promise me I would do that. But I just can't. And I want to be honest with you. And I want this to be fun for everyone, including myself, for Jimena, who will be there too. And we really need to do this together. So 20 spots, that's it. So if you feel like, okay, Nina, let's go, I am ready. The applications are happening until March 7th. So until then, which is next week, I can take the applications for the Freedom Booster. So what does the Freedom Booster include? Well, we're going to have weekly Power Hour live mastermind sessions. And this is great to brainstorm ideas, to really think about your side hustle as a business. I have done many side hustles. I have a lot of experience, but I'm not alone. The shared knowledge that I talked about earlier is super important. We all have unique abilities. We all have talents. We all have smart ideas. Isn't it great if we can put all of that together in a mastermind session for 4 weeks, every single week? We're also going to do weekly live feedback and growth sessions, because if you're just running around crazy and you never have a moment to stop and think about, hey, am I still doing the right thing? that is going to be a problem. I have these sessions with my own accountability group, and I really, really, really love it. Like when I'm working on strategies with my clients, I do this with them as well, because sometimes they have so many ideas and I need to pause them for a second, take a deep breath, and just think, okay, wait, is this like for the big picture? Is this really going to help us get there? So we're going to have these weekly sessions. So you're going to get feedback, customized feedback just for your side projects. And we're going to do these growth sessions so you know what next steps you could take and research. Now, action is super important. So we're going to supercharge your time together with deep focus sessions. And it doesn't matter where you're talking from right now. If you're in Canada, you can join. If you're in Gran Canaria, you can join. If you're in Prague, you can join. If you, like me, are in Brazil, you can join, because everything will be virtual. We're going to have these every single week. And these are the sessions of 40 minutes to really like super, super, super duper power charge. Like this is going to be like, fun. We're going to get work done. But we also have a little bit more lengthier because sometimes we just need more time. So what we basically do is we hop on like this. We're going to start the work and get stuff done. In the beginning, we have our goals. And in the end, we come together. And of course, we celebrate all the work that we have done. I personally love these sessions. I do them every week with people. And it's just, this is great. Like for me, it's been helpful. For other people, it's been helpful. So I wanted to make sure that you can have this too. Now, goal setting is super important, and all the frameworks that I showed you today, we have put that together in a workbook so you can really have all your progress there, have your goals there, and I'm going to teach you how to do goal setting also for your side hustle and for your project. And I wasn't able to really touch on that this presentation, but trust me, it's really important, because just saying that you want to start something isn't big enough. You need to have your big picture, and you need to have the small milestones in place so you know that you're achieving. And this is something I am super excited about. And you guys will be the first one to get this of the whole Digital Nomads Daily. All the Freedom Booster buddies will get a personalized page on the Digital Nomads Daily website. So that is the website where the podcast exists, where the book exists, where basically this is like the Digital Nomad home. This is our house, our virtual powerhouse. And you can get your own page with your photo, what your side hustle is about, with links to your services as well. Super important, so people can find you to promote your side hustle, because I don't want just to work on your side hustle. I really want to enable you to, to share it with the whole world what you're doing. And you're going to be part of the Freedom Booster community. Now, the total value of this, and don't get a heart attack or anything right now. Wait a second. You need to wait to get the free gift. So wait a minute. The total value is 2,299 euros. But there's a big but, and you're going to like this but, because so the original price, because obviously I don't want to charge all of that. So the original price is 1,557, but I want you to succeed, and I want us to succeed, and I want to do this together, because together is always better. So I'm going to give this to you. The original price is going to be 397. But because you're here right now, here with me, in the next 48 hours, you're going to get this for 297. So if you want to join this right now, you're going to get it for 297. All right. And because you're here, and I never do this, but I know that marketing is so extremely important, and I have this experience and I want to make use of it. Because you're here right now, and this is only for 10 people, you're going to get a 60 minutes VIP growth marketing strategy session. This is the session I always do with my marketing clients. They love it. But if you're going to join the Freedom Booster, and you can get this, but it's only for 10 people, because again, I don't have all the time in the world. So I need to be conscious with my time. All right. So you stayed until the end. Make sure that we have the right email address for you, so we can send you the free guide very, very soon. And all I want to say is, let's rock together, guys. Like, you can join now for 297. It's only lasting this offer in the next 48 hours. If you go to digitalnomadsdaily.com/freedom, you can sign up there. I have only 20 spots, so the first 20 people can only join. If I'm sorry, if there are going to be 50 people there, I cannot host you all. And the first 10 people that are going to join this, they're going to get the VIP marketing, the VIP growth marketing bonus, which is going to be super boost charge your side hustle. And that's what you need also to succeed. So I'm really excited about this. Now, I know that there are some questions, so I'm going to open it up for questions now. And let's start with this first question. I have one question here from Sarah. Sarah, nice to meet you, and I'm really excited to answer your question. So let me just get this for a second. All right. Or wait 1 second. I'm just changing my screen here for you guys. So I can see this. Oh. So how do you find an audience or clients at the very beginning? Do you think your network was your biggest strength? Oh, I love this question. Well, there are two parts here. At the beginning and network. In the beginning, your network might not be so strong yet. I had this too. But that's why a side hustle is so great, because you can already start the work. So what I like to do to think about a network is, who are your clients? Like, who are these ideal people that you want to work with? Do you have that picture in mind? Is that very clear for you? And then find them. Like, these clients that you want to work with have all things in common. They all want maybe the same thing, or they're interested in the same in similar things. So maybe what you can do is think about, okay, where are they congregating? So where are they hanging out? And then you can find clients. So that's like one very important tip. Well, your network, yes, it's very important, but I think that your network can only be so extremely important if you know how to use it well. I have a very big network, but my network currently is a lot of digital nomads. If I want to find more clients for my side hustle when it comes to like being the digital nomad expert consultant, I would need to talk to more digital nomad friendly companies, or companies that are ready for a challenge. So what I do is I also use the podcast for this. So I have people from very large companies on my podcast now, and actually they reach out to me because of the network and the brand which I've built, but they are coming to my platform to go on the podcast, and I build a relationship, which is networking, right? And then we all come together. So yes, your network is super important. I don't think you need a big network, but you need a strong network, and make sure that it's the network that is connected to your ideal client. So I hope that answers your question. Let Jimena know. I would like to go to the next question, and this is from Igor. This question is, what is the secret ingredient? I think there's not one ingredient, what I showed you today, but for me, my secret ingredient really for success is community, is doing stuff together. Like, all the knowledge is there. All the frameworks are there. You can read books. You can listen to books. You can watch YouTube videos. You can have all the best tactics and frameworks in the world. But what I really think to keep you going, and not just to make an extra buck, but really stay excited and stick to it and not let it catch dust, is community, and feel empowered by your community. So that's like the secret ingredient. And I don't want that to be a secret, because I feel like community is for everyone. So I'm just giving that to you now. All right. So we have another question here from Davina. What made you change your lifestyle to a nomadic one? Ooh, I love this question. It just happened. I wanted to live abroad. Like, my dream. I'm 32. And when I was younger, I was watching The Hills and all these people that had so much drama and all of that stuff. And I always looked at thinking, I want to speak in English too. I want to think about my boyfriend in English. I had this sort of weird obsession, you can almost say it. But I did not know how to speak English. But my big picture was speaking English and experiencing life speaking English. So I moved abroad. And from moving abroad as a student, I found a job abroad. And from that, I worked really hard in a tech startup and went on a workation and then in Bali. And then I saw people working from their laptops in cafes. And that is how I started. So it was not, I didn't choose to be a nomad. It happened, but I did choose to live abroad because I felt like I didn't belong where I was and I wanted to speak in a different language. And I'm so extremely grateful I did. I have a podcast episode of why living abroad is so life changing. That is really great to listen to. All right. So I get a question here. Hi, Nienke. Really authentic. Oh, thank you so much. I'm really happy that you like it. This is from Aldina. Aldina. Oh, I hope I pronounce it well. Um, so let me see. You have ideas, but you're just not sure where to start or which one to realize first. Well, if you have many ideas, what I would do is go back to that first, to the gift. So you're going to get that in your inbox. Like really think about what is your big picture and what do you want to do? It's like with the t-shirt, right? Like I can make really good money with that. I know because it doesn't take a lot of money to create, to make it or have a t-shirt print, but it doesn't make sense for my lifestyle right now. And it's also a product that is not really aligned with my values currently. So it's something I like, but it's not a best fit. And the same with this, where we are right now with the Freedom Booster. I could also create a course. I can record all of this for you guys in a bunch of videos and then just give it to you and then walk away from it and that's it. But I don't want that. For me, what is really the biggest thing I can do is to give my energy to you. And I need to create a product where I can do that. I need to find channels where I can do that. So the podcast, yes, makes sense. Making money with the podcast makes a lot of sense because I can podcast anytime. Designing the Freedom Booster is the best thing for me because I want to be there with you on the journey. So go back to the first 5 steps. Go back to that bigger picture. Like, does it fit your personality? Does it fit your lifestyle? Is this really like, how can your side hustle be a part of your life every single day without getting overwhelmed or hating it? All right. So I don't see any other questions. I really want to thank you all for joining today. If you feel like you have questions later on, you can always message us at hello@digitalnomadsdaily.com. And just what I really want to share with you is that I am so extremely excited to start the Freedom Booster. If I could have had like 100 people in there, I would have done it, but I just can't. So again, there are only 20 spots. If you go to digitalnomadsdaily.com/freedom, you can sign up there. And if you have signed up already, I'm so excited to see you. And you're going to get an email with all the first information that you need to hear. We're going to do a whole onboarding process, also live on a call. So we're really in this journey together. And that's the most exciting thing of this. So I'm going to leave it with that. I wish you an amazing morning, afternoon, evening, or night. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to dip in the ocean for a little bit because it's very warm in Rio. And I'm going to relax now because that's part of the freedom lifestyle too. I get to work whenever I want. Thank you so much for joining, everyone.